Right, guys, well, we're back. We are back in Queensland now. Over the last couple of weeks, you've been watching content. Myself and Bobo were around Exmouth, and the last couple of episodes you've seen was actually when I was in Broome. Myself and Wuzza from Salty Sessions, we got out and we got stuck into a little bit of fishing, chasing barra, a little bit of spearing, and discovering that west coast by boat. So this little YouTube app, guys, it's going to be a short one this week. Don't worry, we got plenty more coming next week. It's just a little bit of a wrap-up video of 2021 and what an absolutely massive year it was. From now on, we're going to get stuck into a new year of content. So I thought I'd just wrap up 2021 and let you guys know a little bit about what's coming in 2022, what we've got organised. So let's get stuck in. All right, well, let's get stuck into what an absolutely massive year 2021 was. It's always been a dream of mine to hit the road full time and travel around, especially to get over and see that west coast. Now, before last year, I'd done a lot of traveling throughout Australia, but the west coast was sort of that last little frontier that I hadn't quite got over and discovered. So that was definitely one of the big reasons we decided to hit the road last year. We kicked off in March. We were actually away for 10 months, guys. So we kicked off in March, made our way down that east coast. We moved down that east coast extremely quickly. A couple of good reasons. We left 2 months after we were hoping to leave to start with, and we've done a lot of that New South Wales and Victoria coastline. So we sort of got down past Victoria pretty quickly, and we wanted to get stuck into the Great Ocean Road. So we got down through Melbourne, and look, we kicked it off really by tackling the Great Ocean Road. Now, I did leave with my partner Jess, guys. Obviously, that relationship ended. No bad blood there. We're still mates. So just to clarify that, I know everyone asked a million times, but I'll just wrap that up once and for all. So we got through the Great Ocean Road, which is an absolutely stellar drive. From there, we headed over into South Australia, which absolutely blew me away. South Australia is one of those locations that is heavily underrated. Swimming in the sinkholes in Mount Gambier, Ewan's Ponds, Hillsby sinkhole was absolutely incredible. A couple of other little highlights from that region was definitely swimming with seals. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see any sharks, but we did do the cage shark diving. But make sure you put that one on your list. I think it was Calypso Bay Tours. Swimming with the seals was definitely a huge little highlight of that south coast. And then getting to camp along some of those beautiful beaches along that Eyre Peninsula. Palubi Beach, absolute standout, cracking little spot. I wish we had just a little bit better weather, but look, make sure Palubi Beach is on your bucket list. From there, we got stuck in. We kept traveling around, guys, and I did have Nav come and join me for a bit, I should say. He ran across the Nullarbor with me. You guys love Nav in the content, which is why he came back and joined us for another little stint, and we got down to the south coast of WA. Now, that's somewhere that I'm 110% going to have to go back to. I got to spend a little bit of time around Esperance. We headed east of Esperance, a little bit of solo mission with just the 79. We dropped the vision off and I went for a bit of an explore, and that corner absolutely blew me away. But we had a little bit of bad luck with weather as we started pushing around that southwest coast. And working our way up that southwest coast was real hit and miss for me to even try and get a couple of good filming days in. So we did move extremely quickly around that bottom corner, which was unfortunate, but you know, the only good side is I've got to come back and do it again. So I continued solo, cruising up the coast as we got into the likes of Exmouth. The weather was still horrendous my first time in Exmouth, and we pushed up to Broome pretty quickly. So Broome was one of my biggest highlights. I well and truly fell in love with that place. The Dampier Peninsula up north of Broome is absolutely incredible. We got to meet plenty of like-minded people from there. That's when Nav come back over and joined me again once we managed to make it up to Broome. I know I'm skipping up the west coast pretty quick here, guys, but I could talk all day about that west coast. But Nav jumped in the car. We got to go across the Gibb River Road again, which is something I did about 3 years ago. And we made it over to Kununurra. Now, Kununurra is where Nav's from, and we actually shot some of the funnest episodes I've ever shot, catching mud crabs. We had a good crew of people, about 3 or 4 cars, going out to some remote places called Cape Domet, and we also snuck around the back of the ranges up there and went out onto these epic mud flats. I'm going to throw a little montage in now on the mud flats. We actually did the Kurunji track. Now, what happened was we had a hard drive malfunction and we lost Cape Domet and the Kurunji track. So here's just a little bit of a highlight reel of a couple of spots that unfortunately we didn't get to give you a full episode because we had some corrupt files. But enjoy this little snippet of a couple of epic little places around Kununurra that I'm going to have to go back and show off again. But here's a highlight reel. I honestly cried when I found out that we couldn't recover the stuff off the hard drive. We sent it to a couple of different techies and unfortunately it was no good, but I hope you got to see at least a little snippet because, geez, we got some good content out there. Then from Kununurra, I had to make a decision. We were either going to head up into the Northern Territory and start filming on our way back down to Queensland, but it was getting extremely hot and I had a phone call from Perth Full Drive Show and they said, can you make it, can you not? And honestly, that was just that little twist of my arm that I needed to be able to turn around and head back down the West Coast. I did miss a few things on the way up and I just wanted to do it again. It was absolutely incredible. I have done the Northern Territory quite heavily before. If you want to go back, there's a lot of our content that you guys have probably never seen in a playlist called Matt's Vlogs. We'll list it in the description below, where we travel around and we basically cover just about all of the Northern Territory. So go and check that out. And because I'd only done that a couple years ago, I decided I'm going to do a Yui. And I literally turned around from Kununurra and went back over to Broome. Now, when we went back over to Broome, that's when I got to film the Salty Sessions videos that you guys would have seen in the last 2 weeks. I'm glad I went back for that experience alone, to get out into some of these hidden little creeks and chase barra. A massive highlight for me. While we're talking highlights and barramundi, I should mention, while I was in Kununurra, Nav put me on my very first ever barra. And to say I was a little bit excited is an understatement. So good. Oh, get in, you dog.
Get him, Eddie!
Yes! Yes! You are joking! I did not think I was going to get one. Oh! Woo! Oh, you are kidding. Yes! My first barra! Yes! Woo! Oh. When he jumped, I thought I lost him for sure. I was about to cry. I can't even thank Nav enough for getting me on my very first barra. But anyway, guys, sorry I sidetracked there. I went out and we got to do a couple of those offshore eps that you've just seen with Wuzza. And then I started heading back down the coast. We stopped back into Karratha, a place that I did actually spend a lot of time. Karratha's another one of those little secret spots that is heavily underrated. We met back up with Wado. Shout out to Wade, absolute legend, looked after me every time I came through. So we managed to punch out and shoot a little bit more content. And then from there, guys, we ran down to the Perth Full Drive Show. Now, we did shoot a little bit of content. We met some epic creators that we haven't seen. One thing I love about the Full Drive and Adventure Show is they bring in a heap of creators. You know, some of the guys you know, like Sammy Isles, Ronnie Dow, and a few up-and-coming guys as well. So it was good to meet a lot of those people. We did film a couple of cool rigs, and we said g'day to a few characters while we were there. So here's a little sneak peek of the Perth Full Drive Show. That's the one you want, that one. So guys, that was the Perth Four-Wheel Drive show, which, a little bit of a story for you. Before we got to the Perth Four-Wheel Drive show, we had a shocking time trying to get that organised. So we were up in Exmouth, and if you've seen the episode, if you haven't, I'll link it below. I got done by a sea urchin. I was diving for a crayfish. Don't ask me how I didn't see it. It was right in front of my eyes, and I leant on a sea urchin. Now, I ended up in Exmouth Hospital. They had a bit of a look at it. There wasn't a lot they reckon they could do. I had a bucket load of nerve pain that night, and the next day, and the next couple of days, it actually started coming good. From Exmouth, we punched straight down to Perth. Me and Bobo, we hauled ass. And just as we were coming into Perth, my arm absolutely blew up. I couldn't make a fist. I couldn't straighten my arm out. I looked like Popeye. My forearms were that bloody big. And I had to go back into hospital. Now, this was 5 days before the Perth show started. I ended up in hospital for 4 days. They cut me open and went in and actually dug out one of the barbs that was still stuck in there. Another barb had punctured a vein, and there was a little leak in the vein, and that had created a little pocket, which thankfully that managed to solve itself. But I sat in a hospital bed for 4 days on antibiotics, ended up going in under for surgery, ended up with, I don't know, 15 stitches or something in my arm. And look, guys, I managed to get out at 8 o'clock on the Wednesday night. We set up the Perth show Thursday. I was on painkillers and anti-inflammatory. We did the whole Perth show. I was absolutely knackered, but we got it done. So that's just a little wrap-up of the sea urchin injury. It was something we didn't really get to close out in that episode. It sort of looked like it was all good, but I can tell you, it went south very, very quickly. But from there, guys, we packed up at the Perth Four-Wheel Drive show and we made our way back north. I was contemplating going south, as that time of the year, it's about November. It's hot going north and it's a lot nicer going south. But we teamed up with Jackson from Broome Tours and a couple of other good mates, jumped in the yacht, and we actually punched out to a place called Rolly Shoals. So what turned into an idea after a few too many beers, when we left Perth show, we pretty much hammered our way up the coast. We stopped into Karratha, had a couple of beers, said g'day to some good mates, and we made it up to Broome, and we were straight out to Rolly Shoals. Now, that content is coming next week. And to say it is the best offshore content we've ever done is a massive understatement. Montebello Islands was incredible. This is a whole nother level. So make sure you don't miss out next week. Explore offshore, Rolly Shoals. It has got everything. Spearfishing, fishing like I've never seen before. We jump on a marlin boat. We actually managed to get a double hookup on blue marlin, something that's only happened 3 times on that boat in 15 years. It is the definition of postcard paradise. So guys, that's coming next week. I won't keep carrying on about that, but I can tell you it is one of the best experiences I've ever had. 8 nights living on a cat. It was mind-blowing. So after that, we managed to make it back to Broome, and the plan was to head home. We were on a mad dash to try and get home for Christmas. Bobo was still with me, so we managed to get into Kununurra. Spent a couple of days with Nav. He didn't waste any time putting us to work. And we ended up doing a little bit of cattle work with Nav and just having a bit of fun in Kununurra without the cameras. And we actually sat down with Navs and we devised a little bit of a plan for this year. And we spoke about it briefly, but we asked you guys what you thought of Nav with his little bush tucker tips and tricks and his survival techniques. So we sat down and I said, look, I want to do a lot more of this content, and so does he. And that Kimberley region is absolutely incredible. So there's a brand new series coming this year, which we can now officially announce, called Explore Off-Grid. Now, if you've seen the episode with myself and Nav, we jumped on horseback, rode out to a bloody mountain, climbed a mountain and ended up down in the waterhole for a night. Slept next to the fire with absolutely nothing and shared a steak that was frozen in our backpack. So that's the sort of content that you can expect from Nav. He's going to do a lot of it by himself because I can't always get up to the Kimberley region, but I'm going to get up there as much as I can, and we're going to strip it right back to absolute bare basics, and we're going to get stuck into Explore Off-Grid. We're going to leave all the fancy gear behind, the cars, the caravan, a little bit of hiking, quad biking, tinny work. We're going to get remote, we're going to get basic, and we're going to sort of live off the land a little bit more, guys. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Nav's content will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. His first solo episode. So make sure we get around now for that. I'm bloody excited. Well, there we go, guys. That was the lap of Australia. That was well and truly a big bucket list tick for me. So where to next? You're probably wondering, are we going to stay on the road? What are we going to be doing? Well, this is basically the plan, guys. I'm going to be basing myself back on the Gold Coast, and I want that flexibility and freedom to be able to chop and change what toys we're going to be taking away depending on the trips. And that'll make a lot more sense when you see this year's content. So I had a ball living on the road, living out of the caravan, but that's not something I want to do every single trip. Being based here, it gives me the ability to take away boats, Sea-Doos, Can-Ams, caravans. We want to tow big boats, small boats. It's toy haulers. It's all going to be happening this year, guys. We've already bought a new car for 2022. It's not the Ultimate Tourer. We're keeping the Ultimate Tourer for some of the really big touring trips we have this year. This one's a little bit of a fun one, that hardcore four-wheel driving. Those Coffs Harbour, Glasshouse Mountains, those die-hard four-wheel drivers at Land Cruiser Park. We're building this new truck to take on the hard stuff and get back to that technical wheeling. So it's all going on this year, guys. We really, really, really appreciate the support for 2021, and we can't wait to go bigger, harder, and bring you guys even more content in 2022. If there's some trips that you want to see us do, make sure you let us know in the comments. Let us know what your favorite content is. What do you want to see more of? Do you want to see more of the offshore? Do you want to see more of me and Nav running around in the bush like idiots? Or do you want to see that big touring? I'm really excited, guys. I can't wait to show you the new car. It's actually sat behind the camera here. I picked it up today, so damn, it looks good. And shout out to all of our subscribers. You guys are absolute legends. We really do appreciate it. If you want to support us in any way, jump online, guys. We've got a bucket load of merch. We got some awesome little camping products too, so we really do appreciate everyone that supports the channel. 2022 is going to be a big year. Till then, make sure you guys get stuck out and enjoy the Explore life. Let's go. Well, full to the brim after a couple of pies. Mav had 18 Lamingtons, 3 bloody jam donuts.
I think I'm gonna fit that in.
Apparently the standard, oh, I've run out of power. Apparently the standard power, oh.
No, keep that one in.
Apparently the standard pies there are beautiful. We should have got them. But it's my first time driving a manual, first time speaking today apparently as well.
G'day guys, we're here today. Matty is in the passenger seat today. He looks slightly different.
G'day folks.
The Kununurra changes people. The Kimberley changes people. You want to do a giveaway? Matt loves to do a giveaway. Matt loves
Definitely
doing
gonna do a giveaway.
Definitely going to do a giveaway.
Love a
Gives away
freaking
all
good
the
giveaway.
time. Loves a good giveaway. Yeah, loves a good beer. Loves broom too.
Love a beer.
Oh, I probably should put seatbelts on. Matt always puts seatbelts on.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. There we go. Seatbelts.
Bloody seatbelts. Matty.
Anyway, we'll be seeing you next week on a rental wallaby.
Jesus.
And see you there.
Folks, see you there.
Woo! How do you turn it off again?